The Mountaineers gave the reigning Big 12 champs a real battle Saturday afternoon in Tempe. They made enough splash plays on offense to literally make it rain in the desert. They also came up with big-time stops on defense and another blocked kick on special teams. But they still fell short, 25-23 against the Sun Devils, knocking them out of contention for a bowl game in Coach Rich Rodriguez's first season back at WVU. So we're here to recap the action on another post-game edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast. It's brought to you, as always, by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination. Let's welcome in Golden Blue Nation digital beat writer Cody Nespor to help us break down today's game. Cody, where do we even start, man? This game was kind of crazy. At first, it seemed like West Virginia wasn't really in the game because WVU gave up 22 points in the second quarter. It was a completely different game after halftime, and it looked like West Virginia was even in position to win the game there in the fourth quarter, but just couldn't get it across the finish line, couldn't get the job done.
Right, and in a game that's decided by 2 points, there's a lot of places to look and start to second guess. They failed on a 2-point conversion, and they passed up a couple of chip shot field goals. But I don't think that's the most productive exercise because Rich is aggressive, right? Like they have the ball inside the 10 in the first quarter. They're going to go for it on fourth and short, and they fail. And then again in the second half, they have the ball on the goal line on fourth down. They're going to go for it, and they fail. And in the moment, like those decisions, I don't think you scrutinize them. But when you get to the end and either one of those would have won, you look back and you start to poke holes. But you got to remember, like in the moment, those weren't bad decisions. And that's just how it goes in close games, right? And the margin is so razor thin. Like one conversion here or there, one penalty here or there. Like that's the difference in this game. And it's I don't know. It's weird. They're at 7 losses now, so no bowl. But it's like that was a really good performance. Like that's a team that really fought hard against a very, very good Arizona State team.
No, that's really right, Cody. And I think that sums up my thinking as well. Like this team has won 2 games in Big 12 play, but really has played well enough, or at least played good football in 4 consecutive games, dating back to that 6-point loss against TCU at home. So if you wanted to see some strides forward from West Virginia, you definitely have seen them over the last few weeks, the last month of the regular season. But this loss definitely stings, and it's not just because bowl eligibility was on the line really today. This game, a win today, would have made the Texas Tech game in 2 weeks far more significant than just an opportunity to play spoiler against the team that's currently in first place in the Big 12. It was also about just the continued upward trajectory of WVU. This team has made a ton of strides, which is a great sign for its future with so many inexperienced players playing key roles. But at the same time, man, when you're that close, I know the margins are thin, but when you're that close, you just have to get it across the finish line, and WVU was unable to do that today.
Right, and that's where, the no moral victories thing is so hard because, like, there are some moral victories to take from this. Like, Scotty Fox continues to get better. So the 90-yard catch and run by Sincere Bowers, the 75-yard touchdown by Jeff Weimer. Like, West Virginia wasn't making those plays a month ago. Right, they weren't even close to those plays a month ago, and so there are things that you want to be happy about, but when the team loses in that fashion, it's really hard to so shortly afterwards to have a positive spin. Obviously, with the bye week coming up, I'm sure we'll spend a lot of time, and a lot of people in the media will spend a lot of time reflecting on this loss and picking the positives out of it.
Yeah, I do just want to really quickly point out, and then we'll move into analysis of the game, Cody. Coaches have sometimes said this before, that there are sort of 4 stages to building a program. You lose bad, you lose close, you win close, and then you win big, right? And we've kind of seen the trajectory, and sometimes that happens over the course of several seasons, right? We've seen the trajectory for West Virginia. All of those things are happening in such quick succession, right? Like it went from getting blown out of Big 12 games to then being close in Big 12 games against TCU and Arizona State, and also winning close games, a one-score game last week against Colorado and a 10-point win over a ranked Houston team. So the signs are definitely there, right? The signs are definitely there that West Virginia continues to take positive strides, and you're going to have some gut punches like this in the early stages of developing a program the way that Coach Rodriguez wants to, right? That's not just WVU. There are a ton of examples of this that have happened in the Big 12 Conference as recently as teams like Cincinnati and Houston a year ago, right? Not every team is Kenny Dillingham's ASU winning the Big 12 championship in year one. Not every team is Sonny Dykes taking the Horned Frogs to the national championship game very early on, right? And then you can even look at those guys and say, like, look, Kenny Dillingham might not be back in the Big 12 championship game. It's hard. It's hard to do that, right? And so these things, they don't just happen overnight. And so I think West Virginia fans know that, and they're very much in the thick of it right now with this 4-7 WVU team that's just lost by 2 to Arizona State. So let's dive in, Cody, to the play on the field. Here was the good for West Virginia in terms of its offense. 3 touchdowns, and 2 of them were 75-plus yard passing plays. One a 75-yard passing connection between Scotty Fox Jr. and Jeff Weimer. The other a 90-yard catch and run by Sincere Bowers in the fourth quarter on a 3rd and 27. It was one of those plays where you check it down and you try to get some yardage so that you aren't punting out of your end zone, and it ends up in the other team's end zone. Just like an incredibly improbable play. That's the good for West Virginia. The bad, though, as head coach Rich Rodriguez pointed out very succinctly, and we'll hear from him here in just a moment on the show, the bad was the running attack. The rushing attack for West Virginia, again, not good enough today. Even though WVU outgained Arizona State by nearly 100 yards overall, only 68 net rushing yards for West Virginia. It's against the second-best rushing defense in the Big 12, statistically, in Arizona State. It was always going to be hard to run the ball against this team. But particularly in short yardage downs, West Virginia's rushing woes really popped up at inopportune times in the game.
Yeah, and Dior Hubbard it disappeared at some point. Obviously dealing with something, didn't play for more than the back half of the game. Didn't really play after the first quarter. But yeah, I think you have some success with the Curtis Jones stuff, and they had some success early in this game, and I do think it kind of crashes back to earth at some point of like, there's a reason he's not a running back in college, right? There's a reason he's on defense. And this is nothing new, right? This is the same problem they've had all season since Ty Edwards went down. And you don't know, you get the bye week, so hopefully Dior gets back for the finale. Sincere, obviously his best game of the season, electric in every single way. And who knows who else could come back? Tyler Jackledge could come back and be the actual power back. Clay Ash could come back. And just see, Texas Tech isn't going to be easier, right? Right. Obviously not going to be easier than today, but still, 1 game left, kind of go out, show who you are, show who you want to be, and end the year on a good note.
Yeah, look, Texas Tech might have the best defensive line in the Big 12, maybe one of the best in the country, right? It's just clear that they don't have it, right? And that's just kind of how it is, due in large part to injuries, as you mentioned, to Ty Edwards. But they've tried everything. They've tried the jumbo package where they put 75 offensive linemen out there. They've tried putting a linebacker, a bandit, at running back. As Coach Rodriguez pointed out last week, look, they don't have an active running back listed as a running back that's over 180 pounds. So it's hard. It's also made even harder when everyone knows what's happening when Curtis Jones is in the game, right? They're not going to fool anybody. They used the jumbo package against Pitt, and it worked, and Pitt had no way to stop it and wasn't really anticipating it. Colorado, against West Virginia last week, Curtis Jones runs it 3 times and scores 2 touchdowns. Even though it was talked about in the media, there was no film on Curtis Jones. Right. Now, though, when you put him out there, probably everybody in the stadium, not just on the other sideline, knows what's going to happen. So while we're discussing it, let's just hit our turning point of the game, brought to you by our friends at First Green Mortgage. Your home is the heart of what we do. Visit them online at fgm.bank, equal housing lender. After that incredible catch and run by Sincere Bowers made the score 23-22 with just over 6 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, West Virginia leading. maybe not just one play for the turning point, but a sequence, right? West Virginia has to call a timeout on a 2-point conversion to try to go up by 3 to make it a field goal game, a field goal lead. WVU burns its last timeout in the process of doing so, and then fails the 2-point conversion, which was a handoff, I believe, to Jones that went absolutely nowhere. So another instance where short yardage rushing just wasn't happening for West Virginia. So instead of it being 25-22, it's 23-22. Instead of Arizona State being able to tie the game with a field goal, Arizona State could win the game with a field goal, and that's exactly what happened. Sun Devils march 40 yards in 8 plays on the ensuing possession. They get a field goal in the fourth quarter. By the way, their only points of the second half, and they win the game. When you looked at multiple angles of the replay, it looked like West Virginia nearly had a second blocked kick on that specific play, but it wasn't to be. And then Arizona State's defense played really solid football on that final West Virginia possession to salt away a 25-23 victory. So, Cody, let's go to the other side, too, for West Virginia's defense. Gave up 22 points in the second quarter, maybe didn't play great in the first half, but did force and recover a fumble. Seemed like guys were really flying around out there. Reed Carrico and Fred Perry, they've played really solid football here over the last several weeks. Carrico had a pair of sacks last week, had another TFL. I think he led them in tackles with 8. Perry had 7, so he was right up there too. Any thoughts on the defense and how it performed today, particularly in that second half?
Well, yeah, they really only had one bad quarter because they were really good in the first quarter too. They forced 2 3-and-outs. But in in that second quarter, it was just Jeff Sims. I mean, threw the ball exceptionally well. And then he couldn't do it after halftime. Like you said, they had one field goal. The other one got blocked, which was obviously great. But they didn't even make a red zone trip. Arizona State didn't make a red zone. I don't know if they got closer than like the 35-yard line in the second half. So and they forced and recovered a fumble too on a quarterback sneak on another drive that was trying to go somewhere. So it's like, I know Rich won't be happy about it. I know Zach Alley probably won't be happy about it, but that's, you played, 45 minutes of really, really, really good defense, but you had one, bad quarter, right? Like the second quarter was just flat out bad. No real silver lining. And, it sinks you. And at the very end of the game there, and I know that's what Rich is probably most mad about, the end of the game, they need a touch or a field goal, and you kind of give it to them pretty easily, right? Like Arizona State, there was a penalty on that drive. They just kind of went down and got it. And the only good thing there was you did stop them on a third down. So you got the ball back. All right. There was 2 minutes and some change left, but that last drive, it was simply too easy there. Kind of soils a really good defensive half just because that was the most important part.
Right. Okay. So you mentioned the blocked field goal. Who knew that Greg Genros had a 17-foot vertical? I mean, that guy, listen, I know he's a redshirt senior, but if Ross Hodge finds out that guy can jump that high and has that big of a vertical, like, look out, man. He could have another guy to grab some rebounds other than Harlan Obioha and Brennan Lorient. That was a really, really impressive play. And then he almost had another one, too, on the decisive field goal.
Yeah, and that was one of those things, like, I mean, we were sitting in here watching it, like, physically unbelievable. But, like, it's as simple as that. Like, he jumped really dang high and blocked that field goal. And the guy, like, he's been on the team 2 years. I don't know if anybody's ever said his name. He doesn't really play. So I don't know how, somebody found out, like, hey, let's put him on field goal block. Right? But yeah, I mean, just athletically an unbelievable play there, and there was a great momentum kind of swing there because West Virginia really hadn't gotten too much going in the second half either, and to keep them off the scoreboard, then to go down and make it a 1-score game, and then go down and take the lead. That ended up being pretty key.
So according to West Virginia's participation report, which is publicly available on WVUsports.com, they list Genros as now having played in 5 games this season with no statistics. So I would imagine, no statistics prior to this game, I should say. So I'd imagine it's just primarily on special teams that he's played junior college at Dodge City Community College, was on the team last season, but didn't see any game action. How do you like that when you discover that in practice, that guy is just a monster behind a line for a field goal. That was a really, really neat moment in the game too, because like, man, the amount of sacrifices that college athletes make, they're countless, right? And so to have a moment like that for Jen Ross is really cool, even though it didn't result in a win. Still a huge, huge play in the game that gave West Virginia some life. And as you said, had West Virginia won, we probably would have had that as our turning point of today's game. So that's how West Virginia fell to Arizona State by 2, 25-23, the final in Tempe, as the Mountaineers fall to 4-7 overall. Coach Rodriguez, as you can imagine, pretty frustrated, not very happy after today's game. We'll hear from him next after this quick word from our sponsor, Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery.
The reason I came to the practice was because I had had some teeth extracted and I wanted to get some replacements for it. We did a treatment plan to see how many implants they were going to place, and now I'm actually just waiting to get the crowns. The thing I liked the most about coming here, I was greeted with a smile, everything ran smooth, and that they were really going to do what I wanted them to do to make my smile a little better. They're some of the best doctors, and you will get good quality care.
Searching for a mortgage lender that's 100% local, personal, and focused on home loans? First Green Mortgage has been serving West Virginia for more than 35 years, and they can assist you with every step of your home ownership journey. Visit them in Bridgeport or Morgantown or at fgm.bank.
Coach, it looked like you were able to do some things to set up a couple big plays. Is this just a matter of getting one more of those, two more of those to get wins?
No, you got to be able to run the ball this far to win a game. And you got about 7 opportunities to do it, and you don't do it. You run for 68 yards. It's embarrassing. Can't run for more than 68 yards. You don't deserve to win the game.
What do you think the difference in the second half might be in terms of being competitive?
What do you mean?
Keeping the game tight, coming back, clawing around.
Game was tight in the first half. If we can move that much. I mean, I didn't feel in the first half that was like they were better than us in the first half. But they're better than us because they won. But I didn't think it was can't move that ball that much. And then we get stupid penalties on defense, give them first down. It's just lack of discipline. Goes back to coaching. Can't even get lined up on the last play, get the field goal block. Can't get lined up right there for that. The lack of discipline, coaching, all coaching right there. Can't get this much. 7, 8 times in the game. Running for 68 yards. See, I know some of them were sacks, but
You had a block on the one field goal before. Was this just a matter of flipping your formation on the last one?
it's a matter of getting lined up and doing what you're supposed to do. It's as simple as that. And I don't know why we couldn't. Just whatever.
What was working in the past game to like Weimer on the big play and Cam came up with a big play?
No, I mean, hell, when you play the run, and hard as they play the run, you should be able to have some play action passes. You know, that kind of goes hand in hand, but still got to be able to run the ball this much when everybody knows you're going to run it that much. And so we'll have to watch the film and see what the deal is.
That's head coach Rich Rodriguez keeping it short and sweet, or maybe short and frustrated at the podium after West Virginia's 25-23 loss to Arizona State. Mountaineers fall to 4-7 overall, 2-6 in Big 12 play. Will not get to 6 wins, the required threshold to become bowl eligible. West Virginia was in contention for a bowl game after back-to-back wins, needed to win out, but that's not going to be the case this year. Golden Blue Nation digital beat writer Cody Nespor here with us to wrap up this edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast. Any early thoughts on the open week, which is just so oddly placed for West Virginia with one game to go in the regular season, and looking ahead to that game after Thanksgiving against Texas Tech?
No, it's so weird to have the penultimate open week. I'm sure. I mean, I bet they'd probably rather just play the game next week and then kind of go into the off-season mode. But like, I don't know. Like, we're not going to talk to Rich next week. It'll be interesting to hear what he says in 2 weeks about, like, what are the motivations for this game? Like, what do you play seniors or do you play all young guys? Or like, and I know what he's gonna say. He's gonna say, well, we want to knock off a top 10 team at home. That's the motivation, right? Like, fans are gonna come out and we want to give them a show and close the season the right way. So it will just be interesting when we do finally hear kind of what the mindset was this upcoming week, and then what it'll be going into that Tech game.
Yeah, absolutely. Tons of things can happen in the Big 12 between now and November 29th, but it's possible that Texas Tech will need to win that game to secure a berth in the Big 12 championship and to maintain its resume for the college football playoff. So that's a wrap here on our football post-game coverage, but we do just want to touch on a few other really important items here before we wrap up on this edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast. Cody Nespor, the boy, how do I even say it? The poet, the journalistic poet that he is. If you've been hearing the phrase Greenbrier 5, whether your friends have been saying it, maybe you've seen it in tweets, maybe you've seen it in graphic material that WVU women's basketball has put out. If you go back in time and see the first reference of Greenbrier 5, it's our man, Cody Nespor, the poet. The Golden Blue Nation poet who's come up with that title to sum up one of the most miraculous wins you'll ever see in any sport, men's or women's collegiate athletics, period. WVU women's basketball at the Greenbrier Friday night had 6 players ejected from the game, played the entire second half with just 5 players, and beat nationally ranked Duke, number 15 in the country. Their head coach is the United States Olympics team coach. And Mark Kellogg beat that team with 5 available players, Cody. I mean, it is just mind-blowing to think about how they pulled that off last night.
The most incredible thing I've ever seen with my own eyes. Like, I have no shame in saying that. Unbelievable. I mean, I've covered a lot of high school basketball. I've covered a lot of small school, high school basketball where a lot of weird stuff happens. I've never seen anything in my entire life like that. And, like, they came out of the second half, like, we didn't know. The refs, like 2 minutes before the second half started, the refs announced all the ejections, and we're sitting on press row doing the math. Like, Mark has 5 players, and they came out and they took the lead on like the first possession, and we were just kind of like, oh, that's nice. They got the lead for a second, and then they just kept scoring, and Duke just kept having empty possessions, and then it got to the point where like, well, damn, there's 3 minutes left in this game. They're up by 15. It's the most incredible. I mean, I'm A, speechless. B, I still kind of can't believe it happened. Right? Like, and I tweeted it like that game was just all heart and guts and blood, and like West Virginia wanted it more. Those 5 women just wanted it more. Like Duke did not want to win that game comparatively.
Right.
Like. Those 5 would have crawled over glass to win that game, and Duke did not have that in the slightest. They did not have 1% of that.
Yeah.
In it, and it showed all second half.
Look, man, it's incredible, really, because some coaches say no excuses after a loss, right? That team had every single excuse in the book and still won the game. Maybe you can clarify this for me. I'm fairly certain that the 6 players who were ejected. 4 of them accounted for the only scoring for West Virginia in the first half, meaning that WVU played with 5 players in the second half who scored 0 points before the ejections. I mean, it's remarkable.
Correct.
It was absolutely remarkable. And like the victory lap that the team and fans are taking today and throughout the weekend is totally deserved because heading into the college football slate this afternoon, that was the biggest story in college sports in the country. Mm-hmm. West Virginia winning. I shared this on Twitter, but for anyone who doesn't follow me, I got a text from my mom this morning who said that the WVU women's basketball team winning against Duke was the #1 story on her internet homepage. First of all, I didn't even know those still existed. Second of all, it's not just Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram that's going crazy about WVU women's basketball, right? If my mom knows about it from her MSN.com homepage, probably a lot of people do. And by the way, the story that she sent me was from Men's Journal about WVU women's basketball. So there you go. Like, yeah, it just keeps getting deeper and deeper there.
And that was one of those games. There were 1,200 people in the ballroom at the Greenbrier. 12,000 people will claim to have been at that game. But I was there. Me and Ryan Decker, we were actually there. We actually saw it. With 1,200 of our closest friends.
Yeah, no doubt, Cody. And so you guys got back super late last night, then came in to cover a football game. So we're going to wrap this up here soon. But one more thing, men's basketball backyard brawl 22-point victory Thursday. That is the largest margin of victory in a brawl at the Coliseum, 55-year history of the arena. It seemed to me last week, when West Virginia played 3 games in roughly 5 days. I think they had a Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. There were a lot of tweets that were like, not really sure about this team. Not really sure if this team has it. And then you go and take on your first Power 4 opponent, and it's a rival, and you just smack them right in the mouth. I mean, Ross Hodge has got something going there. I mean, it's possible that Pitt could be terrible, but like the way that West Virginia played defensively, just smothering Pitt 10 minutes without a field goal from the first half into the early portion of the second half, like that is going to be good enough to win some games in the Big 12 this year.
Yeah, you're right. People, I forget which one of the first 3 games, but people are like, I don't know about this offense. It doesn't look great. They're not clicking. But then like people kind of did ignore, like the defense was just nails like all last week. They like didn't give up anything to anybody. And then Pitt comes in, and the start was kind of the same, where it's like, I don't know about this offense. They're not scoring. And then it's like, oh, the defense is just going to hold Pitt without a field goal for 12 minutes.
Yeah, I think.
Right. And it's like.
Go ahead, Cody. I'm sorry.
No, it's just like you said it exactly right. Like that's going to play. That's going to play all year if you can defend like that.
Right. I think so. Like the thing for me is the scoring will eventually come, right? Like there are going to be nights where Honor Huff is just going to go crazy. There's going to be a time where Trey Eaglestaff finally pops off for a big game. He scored 19 a game last year at North Dakota. But for me right now, man, it's the play of the big men that is just really impressive from WVU. Like Obioha, 19 points. He dominated that game. And Brennan Lorient has just been really good. Like sometimes it's scoring, sometimes it's rebounding, sometimes it's those exciting chase down blocks like the one he had against Pitt. I mean, that kid is really solid, right? Like he was the AAC 6th man of the year. Now he's a starter. He gets it. Like he's just a really, really great athlete. So I know that a lot of the hype has been on Huff and Eaglestaff, and that's because they score, right? And a lot of times that's what puts people in seats and makes for an exciting team. But like you want to be a winning team, you want to have somebody like Brennan Lorient on your side that can do a little bit of everything and be specifically very good defensively. If they get the defensive rebounding thing figured out by maybe the start of conference play, that seems to be a real weakness. Like the scoring will come. The rebounding was so much better though against Pitt, and that's a really, really good sign.
Right. Yeah, and it's I mean, you said it, like Huff and Eaglestaff, they're going to make shots eventually. Like they're too good, right? And if those two are on and they defend like that, it's going to be over. And big shout out, Nick. I think you talked about how good Brennan's been. He went out early against Pitt with 2 fouls. True freshman DJ Thomas came in and was maybe the best player for about 5 minutes. And I don't want to overreact to 4 games. He looks incredible as an 18-year-old. Yeah. I mean, he does not look like a freshman. He looks so advanced in a way that I haven't seen a freshman maybe since Deuce and Pride.
Yeah, wow. I mean, that's a great comparison. Like, I think Amir Jenkins is really solid too. Haven't seen a ton of him yet. Like, he definitely is a little more raw. And remember, he reclassified, so that's sort of expected there. But Thomas at one point was leading West Virginia in scoring, and he finished in double figures against Pitt as a freshman in the backyard brawl. Like, come on. Yeah, that's really good. That is really, really good. All right, that's a wrap on this edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast. He's our digital beat writer, Cody Nespor. Cody, appreciate you jumping on as always, man.
Yeah, I'd love to do it.
I know you do, brother, and we love to have you. All right, we're brought to you as always by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, your premier dental implant destination. No podcast next week because there's no football game. Also, quick programming note, no Mountaineer game day on your TV next week. We'll be back the Saturday after Thanksgiving to preview the Texas Tech game. The Rich Rodriguez Show, though, will air at its normal times on many of our partnered stations this coming weekend while the Mountaineers are idle. Check your local TV listings for more details. For a final time, for Cody Nespor, I'm Nick Farrell, signing off. This has been another edition of the Golden Blue Nation podcast presented by Mountain State Oral and Facial Surgery, home of the Same Day Smile.